Welcome to Urban Odyssey Audio, where we chase the shadows of truth and really try to pull back the veil on some powerful institutions. Today, we're diving deep, right into the heart of the Vatican, the seat of St. Peter.
Yeah, and we're looking at this story, this narrative of infiltration, subversion. It's audacious, frankly. Sounds almost impossible when you first hear it.
Exactly. Because, I mean, historically, the Catholic Church, its whole identity was built on being invulnerable, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Our sources really hammer this point home. It was seen as the one divine and authoritative voice on earth. The solid rock and a key. That was the promise. It couldn't be breached.
But, well, according to the material we've looked at, all that has changed. It says the Church kind of dropped its guard. So our mission here in this deep dive is to figure out how that happened, how this supposedly impossible transformation took place. We're investigating what these documents call an age-long and deliberate scheme to destroy the Church from within.
And we're going to unpack that. We'll look at the historical setup, the architecture of the plot. We've got names, even code names, of alleged infiltrators.
And this whole idea of a political revolution sort of disguised as a religious council, that's key too.
Definitely. It's about how, allegedly, this hidden hand managed to seize control right in the chair of Peter.
We'll get into the symbols, the
Yeah.
money, the real end game they were aiming for.
Right. So let's start maybe at the beginning. Because to really get modern subversion, you have to see how old the playbook is.
It's not new, is it? This idea of attacking from the inside.
Not at all. The sources point back to St. Paul, way back in AD 58. He warned about grievous wolves coming from among their own selves. Not outsiders, but insiders turning people away.
So the weakness is always internal. That's the target.
Precisely. And then fast forward a bit, what modernizes this? What turns it into this, centuries-long operation?
The Illuminati, right, that's the name that always comes up. Founded 1776.
And the date itself is significant. The sources stress. May 1st.
Which is also Beltane, the Celtic pagan festival. That sets a certain tone, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right from the start. Kind of anti-Christian, maybe darker symbolism.
Exactly. And their founder, Adam Weishaupt, codenamed Spartacus. By the way, he laid out the goals pretty clearly.
Okay, what were they?
Well, first, control public opinion. Standard stuff, maybe. Second, amalgamate religions. Blend them all together. But the third one, this is the core for us today. Take over the papacy. Put their agent in the chair of Peter.
Wow. Okay, but why? Why the papacy specifically? Why not just, attack it from the outside, try to discredit it?
Good question. I think the reasoning in the sources is, well, the institution itself just had too much power, too much history, too much spiritual weight.
So destroying it would backfire, create martyrs.
Exactly. But if you control it, if you can speak with its voice, use its authority, then you can dismantle the faith from the inside out, make the revolution look legitimate, like it's coming from the church itself.
That's chilling. And they had money behind this,
Right.
serious backing.
Oh yeah, this wasn't some fringe group in a basement. We're talking about the hidden hand funding. There's this figure, Joseph Balsamo, also known as Cagliostro.
Yeah.
He was the go-between, apparently, with the French court, but the money. It came from a powerful group of bankers. Specifically, the documents mention them operating under the House of Rothschild.
Rothschild.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking top-tier elite involvement here, aiming right for the top of the Catholic structure.
Absolutely. And they were playing the long game. This wasn't about quick results. Look at the Alta Vendita documents from the 19th century.
What do they say?
Same goal, basically. Echoing Voltaire and the French revolutionaries. The complete annihilation of Catholicism. But they were patient. They acknowledged it might take perhaps a century.
A century.
Right.
Wow, and that strategy, it's insidious.
Yeah.
You knew they couldn't just smash the church, the rock.
Right. They needed, and this is a direct quote essentially, a pope according to our wants. They needed the pope's little finger, even just that much, engaged in the plot. Control, not open warfare.
And were they seeing its success early on?
Apparently so. By 1824, there's this figure, Little Tiger, boasting about it, claiming their infiltration was working. He said they'd got certain members of the clergy, especially in Rome, who have swallowed the bait, hook, line, and sinker.
Hook, line, and sinker. So the seeds were planted early. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. The symbols. If you're running a secret, centuries-long plot, you need signs, right? Ways to communicate, maybe?
Definitely. And the big one here is the Illuminati symbol. The pyramid or triangle, often with that separate human eye, either at the top or the base.
And the sources call it the open eye of Lucifer. Pretty direct.
Very direct. And what's fascinating, or maybe disturbing, is how this symbol, which supposedly has roots in pre-Christian cults, gets resurrected. The sources claim it reappears as a sign of success once the infiltration, the internal destruction, was well underway.
Okay, success. So where did it supposedly show up in Vatican contexts?
Allegedly, yes. The claims are pretty specific. Overlooking the Philadelphia Eucharistic Congress in 1976. Reproduced on official Vatican stamps issued in 1978. And maybe most shocking, inside the Jesuit Society's own yearbook.
In the yearbook. That implies, well, not just infiltration, but like an open internal wink and nod about it. Celebrating their success almost publicly if you knew the symbol.
That's the implication, yeah. It's bold. Okay, let's maybe run the truth meter on a specific case. A really high-stakes moment before all this 20th century stuff really took off. Cardinal Rampolla.
Right, turn of the century.
Yeah, 1843 to 1913. He was a powerful liberal, rising fast in the hierarchy.
And the allegation?
That he was an Illuminatus. Yeah. Deeply involved, affiliated with something called the Order of the Temple of the Orient, an occult group.
And he almost became Pope.
Almost. 1903, he was the frontrunner. But then, drama. Emperor Franz Joseph of Austria-Hungary, a staunch Catholic, issues a veto, blocks the election.
A veto? You could do that?
Apparently, historically, certain Catholic monarchs had that right, the Jews exclusive, eh? It was controversial, but it happened. And it stopped Rampolla. Bought the church some time, the sources suggest. But the story doesn't end there. After Rampolla died, Pope Pius X supposedly read his private papers. The reaction was apparently shock. Pius X reportedly ordered them burned immediately, said something like, "The unhappy man, burn them."
Burn them? Why? What was supposedly in them?
The claim is they proved Rampolla was actively working for the overthrow of church and state. Connections to occult groups like the Rite of Mizraim were supposedly documented.
This isn't just political maneuvering, then. There's this dark occult undercurrent. And it's dangerous, right? These secrets weren't taken lightly.
Not at all. Look at the figure called Nubius, another plotter. When they suspected he was talking too much, well, the source says he succumbed to a dose of poison.
Poisoned.
The society's rule was apparently crystal clear. Anyone who reveals their secrets signs his own death warrant. Absolute secrecy, absolute compliance. The stakes were incredibly high.
Which brings us, I guess, to the modern era, the culmination. Angelo Roncalli, Pope John XXIII.
Exactly. The sources claim he was part of this, initiated into the cult. They point to his chosen name, Johannes, or John.
Why is that name significant?
It's apparently revered in secret societies. They often meet on the feast days of St. John the Baptist or St. John the Evangelist. And Roncalli was also allegedly tied to the Rosicrucians.
Rosicrucians, okay. And again, the visual evidence, the symbols.
Yeah, this is pretty brazen, if true. Copies of his personal cross, the one he used, were apparently sold publicly, and they contained, reportedly, the Illuminati all-seeing eye inside a triangle.
On his cross.
That's the claim. And also images on his glove, supposedly depicting the sun god, hinting at pagan sun worship.
These are incredibly powerful symbols for the head of the Catholic Church to be displaying, even subtly.
If true, yes. It suggests the infiltration reached the very top, and his main act, of course, was calling the Second Vatican Council, Vatican II, 1962.
And this council, this wasn't just about updating things, according to this theory.
Not according to the plotters, no. This was the revolution they'd worked for. It's interesting, the Italian Communist Party's newspaper, Propaganda, apparently hailed it. They compared Vatican II to the States General, the event that kicked off the French Revolution.
That's quite an analogy, but a revolutionary one for a church council. So the infiltration was basically complete by then.
It seems like the key players were in place. You have Cardinal Suin's codename Lassus, allegedly boasting the age of Constantine is over, a key progressive voice.
And the liturgy itself, the Mass.
That brings us to Archbishop Bugnini. Known as Brother Bugnini in these circles, supposedly, he was the main architect of the new Mass, the Novus Ordo.
Okay.
And yet, the sources claim documents surfaced proving he was a member of a secret society, exposed as an initiate. So the very form of worship was potentially compromised by someone working for the other side.
Wow. And the symbols kept appearing, even after John XXIII.
Under Paul VI, yes. He's the one associated with the bent cross or the broken cross.
I've seen pictures of that. It looks unsettling.
It is. The sources are quite blunt about it. They call it a sinister symbol used by Satanists since the 6th century, representing the mark of the beast.
And Paul VI used it, and later popes too.
He adopted it, and yes, the two John Pauls also carried it. The sources highlight this as a major breach, maybe even of canon law regarding sacred images.
This ties into the bigger picture too, right? The global stuff.
Absolutely. Paul VI visited the UN, specifically the UN Meditation Room.
What's significant about that room?
Well, according to Cardinal Rampolla, who is apostolic delegate to the U.S., he knew it to be an Illuminati center, dedicated allegedly to the cult of the all-seeing eye and something called the Faceless One.
So the Pope visiting this specific place, it's seen as symbolic, aligning the church with this globalist, possibly occult-influenced project.
That's the interpretation presented, yes. Integrating the church into a broader humanistic world order. And finance is key here, too. It wasn't just about theology and symbols.
Right. The money trail again.
Exactly. Running alongside all this, you have this massive financial plot centered around Archbishop Marcinkus. His code name was supposedly Marpa, initiated in 1963.
And he ran the Vatican Bank.
Head of a Vatican bank, yeah. And deeply tangled up in the Sindona scandal, the P2 scandal. Huge financial earthquakes.
P2, let's clarify that. Propaganda do, right? This notorious Italian Masonic lodge.
The very same. Incredibly powerful. Members high up in finance, politics, military, intelligence. It was a shadow state, almost. The ultimate hidden hand in modern Italy and connected globally.
And Marcinkus was tied to them while running the Vatican's money.
Deeply connected, according to the sources. And this leads to Roberto Calvi, God's banker.
Because of his Vatican Bank ties.
And P2 ties. He was right in the middle of it all. When things started to collapse, he fled, and then he was found dead in London, near Blackfriars Bridge.
Blackfriars. Okay, there's symbolism there too, isn't there?
Oh, intensely ritualistic, according to the sources. They claim that initiation oaths for P2 and similar groups involved threats. If you betray secrets, you face a specific kind of death, often involving hanging, burial near water.
And Calvi.
Calvi was found hanging under Blackfriars Bridge, strangled first, apparently, then hung, and his feet were in the water of the Thames at low tide.
Exactly, matching the alleged ritual punishment.
Chillingly precise. Plus, the name Blackfriars itself. P2 members reportedly sometimes dress as Blackfriars for their secret meetings. It's layers upon layers of dark symbolism.
The scope of this, centuries, the highest levels of the church, global finance, ritual death. It's staggering. Okay, let's try to boil this down. Rapid fire summary. What are the absolute bombshell truths we've hit on?
Okay, first, the centuries-long plot, confirmed by documents like the Alta Vendita, Illuminati strategy, seize Peter's chair, dismantle from within.
Right. Second, the symbols. That all-seeing eye, supposedly Luciferian, appearing repeatedly on Vatican stamps, papal crosses, like a calling card.
Third, Vatican II, 1962. Not reform, but revolution. Intentionally shifting the church towards humanism, maybe even Marxism, and openly cheered by communists at the time.
And fourth, the money and death. The P2 connection. Archbishop Marcinkus at the Vatican Bank, Roberto Calvi, God's banker, his ritualistic death near Blackfriars, tying it all together.
So you have to ask, if this plot, this infiltration, actually succeeded in shaking the foundations, what was the point of it all?
What was the endgame?
Well, the plotters themselves, according to Pike, as cited in the source, predicted what would happen. The decline of Christianity, the rise of atheism. This would eventually lead to the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out to the public view.
That's the ultimate twist.
Yeah.
The destruction wasn't the end goal, it was just clearing the way.
According to the sources, yes. That's the terrifying implication behind the whole narrative of decline. It's an existential reveal hitting within institutional corruption.
Wow, okay. Heavy stuff. For everyone listening, if you want the full uncensored story, all the details, subscribe over at theofficialurban.substack.com. You can get the full dive there.
Yeah, check it out.
And thread this deep dive on X. Use the hashtag #UrbanOdysseyTruth. Let us know what you think. Reply to it. Official Urbanus, we want to hear your take on all this. Thanks for joining us on this Odyssey.